Okay, welcome to part 5 in this series of repair videos. This is actually chassis number 4 in the series. However, it's part 5 because part 1 was a showcase of all the chassis that I received in condition and overall look and everything. So anyway, this is actually chassis number 4 even though it's part 5. This is a U5000 and it has received previous work. However, it's not in the greatest condition. Some of the caps are still original, other ones are not. You can see here that this cap is original, but somebody has removed it or moved it. It's sitting up higher than it used to be. And you can see the glue is broken, so that's original, and it's actually bulging very slightly. It's hard to really tell, but it is bulging very slightly. As well as this one here, you can see this one has been removed and reinstalled because it's sitting up higher than it used to sit. I don't understand the logic behind that. It's bulging ever so slightly as well. So is this one. This one's bulging ever so slightly. However, these over here have been replaced. This one's been replaced and these have been replaced. Not very well. They've got the wrong size in there. Yeah, is this a 2.2? We learned the hard way, if this is the wrong rating, then you'll have vertical squishing issues. I can't tell what rating that one is, quite honestly. We'll figure it out. But it's intact. Everything is here. And it did not have a remote board, so I have a spare one here from another chassis I'll use. Again, this is mine, so it's not going to go back to the owner with this, but I'll use it for testing. It's got the vertical sweep mod. And again, this is a mod where it's got a selector pin here, where for the 15 kilohertz selection, you have to have this connected or you'll collapse the image. When you switch this over to the medium resolution, and you have to take this off of here. So it has to be installed for 15 kilohertz and removed for 25 kilohertz. Standard and medium res. And it looks complete. A lot of the resistors are bent over. Not a big deal. But otherwise, yeah, it's not too bad on the top side. The bottom side, let's remove this thing here. Our linearity coil is in good shape. The back side, well, it looks like somebody has removed what looks like R760. This guy right here, R760, someone has removed and put on the other side of the board. Can't say why. But if R760 is bad, or R765, where's my, here they are. Okay. If either one of these two resistors are bad, where am I at on the camera here? There we go. If R765 is bad or R760 is bad, it will take out your HOT. So we need to test those. But in the meantime, I can already tell from looking at this what the problem most likely is, and it's extremely common on the U5000. Is if you look here, man, what a piece of junk. Will that work? That'll work. Okay. Look at this. These header pins on the video selection are just really bad. I don't even think that this one's even got a connection. So this obviously ran most of its life at 15 kilohertz standard res, because that's, you can see here, you got 15 kilohertz and 25 kilohertz. This obviously ran most of its life on the 15 because it is severely oxidized and broken. I wish I could get in closer here. I wonder, no, it's not going to let me. But you can see that this is cracked and broken. This is cracked and broken. Are there any more? This one here is not doing too well. But yeah, at least, you know, these two here are really bad shape. So I think a lot of the problem is going to be this. If these open up and it loses the resolution input, then it can collapse as well. So I am going to simply fix this and give everything else a look over and do some testing, and then we'll see, we'll power it up and see what we get. But before I do that, actually, I forgot. The neck board is in dire straits, just like most of these. It's you can see here that it's all out of whack, and it's leaning over against this one, which would only make both of them hotter, and I can't even push it over. If we look at the opposite side, it's all burned up like the rest of them usually are, and somebody's done some work because there's flux around all of this. So I've got, I think, 3 or 4 or even 5 videos where I show the repair of all this, so I don't think I'm going to show it on this video. I'm just going to actually do the repair and then get all this secured and fixed up, and we'll put all of our pots to the center, and then I will get everything hooked up and repair all of this and do all my testing, and then we'll kind of see where we're at from there. And if everything tests good, we'll power it up and see what we get. And I'm 50-50 on even actually doing that because these caps are slightly bulging. This one, and this one. So in all likelihood, I think I probably will change my mind and go ahead and just do the cap kit. So I'm going to repair the header pins, fix the neck board, do all my testing on everything, install the cap kit, and then I'm going to come back and we'll see if it works. I will show the testing of the components on the video here, but the repair and everything, I may show the header pin repair, but as far as the cap kit and the repair on the neck board, I'll do that off camera and show you the result afterward, because I've got plenty of videos that show all that already. So let's get going here. Let me turn on my iron, and we'll zoom back in. Can I get greedy there? I'll do my desoldering gun too. Nope. That should suffice. Okay. I got my 23 authentic blend of flavors, so let's get that going. I do the it's kind of a homage to Curb Your Enthusiasm. If you guys have seen Curb Your Enthusiasm with Susie, every time she takes a drink out of her coffee, she does that, and it makes Larry. You have to watch it; you'll see. Okay. Give me a moment here. Alright, sorry, I had to put my frozen pizzas in the oven and I'm still waiting on my desoldering gun to heat up here. I could have had it already going, so I apologize. That's my fault. But it's kind of loud and I didn't want to have it overshadow my narration here. I guess while we're looking, we can look at some of the other solder joints. And it's still zoomed in here, and I apologize. But well, you can see, let me zoom back out. You can see somebody has done some repair work there, which we can fix that when we do the cap kit. So that cap's obviously been replaced. We can test our resistor 760 and put it back on the top side like it's supposed to be. Not too bad. I don't really see any other pads that are jumping out at me as cracked or bad, but you know, the video header pins over here are good as well. Those are one thing you always want to check. And it looks okay except for these right here. So let's zoom in a little bit more now. Okay. And again, you want to remove the original oxidized solder off of this, which it may not be that easy because it's a large trace. Let's try this one. Nope, not happy. So if it wants to be stubborn, I got ways around that. Okay, that's not bad. Good enough anyway. When what we really should do is disconnect the connector on the other side here, but I'm worried about the pins coming out with it. So if we were to disconnect this, okay, not bad. Alright. Where are we at here? There we go. Okay. Alright, not too bad. Sticking out a bit. That's better. There we go. So let's redo all the rest of them. Alright, not too bad. And it looks like the 25 kilohertz side didn't really suffer a horrific fate like this side, the other side did. So quite obviously this spent all of its life on the 15 kilohertz connection. And okay. Yeah, so there is some other areas I need to reflow, but I'm not going to worry about it now. But we'll do this. We did this here, and then when I do the cap kit, I'll do the reflow of everything else. So now let's go ahead and try and put our 760 on the opposite side here, where it should be. Oh, I see why they did that, because the pad's lifted. Oh, okay. Let's see here. This side over here, the pad's lifted. Okay. So we can see there, that's, I don't know if I'll be able to show, but this side, the pad's lifted up. But it should be okay. So while it's out of circuit here, let's test it. We're just testing to make sure that it's not open. Okay. I need something to isolate this. This will work. It is not open, so that's good. And our 765 is not open either. That's good. And again, well, since we're doing this, we'll test our R811. R811 right here on the U5000. It's in different positions. It's actually, it's this one. See, good thing I looked. You can see here that there's two resistors here. This is R811. R811 is responsible for your color generation. So if you have a really weak RGB or black and white image, R811 is usually open. So you want to check that when you do these testing, or this testing here. So these tests. So we'll check it. It should be, I think, between 50 and 100 k ohm. You may be 50 k ohm or 75 or 80 or 90. As long as it's between 50 and 100 k ohm, you're good. So let's see what this reads. Yep, it's good. Probably gonna settle around 80 or 75 maybe. Either way. So yep, that's good. So let's get our. I gotta get this reinstalled. I'll get this reinstalled on the top side of the board. I'll do the cap kit. I'll do the reflow, and then that should take care of. I guess you know what? Let's do our testing. We'll do our testing on camera here. So we'll go to our diode checker, and first thing we'll test here is this diode. There's a diode here. It looks like an IC, but it's actually a. I'm sorry, it's this one. This is a diode here. It's D707, and the negative, I believe, is to the left. Yes. So you just simply put the negative lead on the left leg and the positive on the right, and we should read a diode. Correct. Let's see. This transistor here should be 0.49, and that's good. HOT. It's just easier to do on the back side. You got this triangle of pins here. We'll go the negative on the base, and then we'll touch each side of the triangle. HOT is good. Okay, that's a good sign. So those are all good. That's the three things you want to check over here. And then we have our voltage regulator, which is this over here. It is Q101. And if memory serves, it should be 0.5 on one leg and I think 1.0 on the other. So if we go to this, it's this triangle of pads right here. 1, 2, 3. So if we go here to here, yep, 1.0 and 0.5. Voltage regulator is good. Let's test our R104. R104 is this ceramic resistor right here. If this reads shorted, then there's something in this section that's shorted. So it's easy to just check everything in this section by just going to here. I forgot what it's supposed to read. I think it's 10K. I think it's 10K ohm. So let's go to here. 13.7. I think. Hang on a second. Yeah, it's supposed to be 10K. 13 ohm. It's 13K ohm. That's out of tolerance. So now I'm very interested to see what happens. But this should be 10K. 13.74. Well, that's more than 5%, isn't it? What's 5% of 10,000? 500? Yeah, so I don't know. We'll find out. My math is wrong on that. Correct me. You just take one of the zeros away, and then take one of the zeros away is 1,000, then cut it in half for 5%. Should be 500. So that's kind of very odd. I'm interested to see after we do the cap kit to see if that changes. Is our fuse good? The fuse almost never goes bad on these. We can test the fuse. Take my cover off here slightly, can I? Yeah, we'll just do it the easy way. I say that, but I can't get a good connection. There we go. Fuse is good. Alright, so everything over here is good. Our voltage regulator is good. Nothing seems to be shorted in the power section. We'll check our switch mode power supply chip. And I believe we should read, I forget here, this should be a diode. And this should be a diode. And I think this should be 1 point something. Yeah, 1.7, and I think this should be 1.7. 1.0, okay, yeah. So I checked this because if this was shorted, those are all normal, those are exactly perfect readings for this chip in circuit. So if you don't have, if this doesn't read a diode or read shorted, or this doesn't read a diode or read shorted, let me zoom in here so you can see. Basically there's 8 pins here. And we'll just refer, for the sake of argument, that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if your negative lead on 2 and you're positive on 1 should be a diode. Negative on 4 and positive on 3 should be a diode. And then, what did I say, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, I can't recall, my brain quit working, but on the top rows, these pins a diode, these pins a diode, these pins should be 1.7. Come on. There we go. And then 1.0. Alright, so yeah, I'm getting, in my old age, my brain stops working from 1 minute to the next. So that's good. Let's see, what else can we check here that we should check. I think that's about it. There's not really much else that we need to go through and check, because like I say, if any of the diodes or resistors over here were bad, this would read shorted, just in my experience. We can go ahead and just hook this back to the 15. Okay, our width coil appears to be slightly bent. Yeah, it's broken actually. You can see that. The little tabs here that hold it in place are busted off the bottom base. However, the coil itself is still intact, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. Not that big of a deal, because even though there's 5 feet on the coil itself, only 2 of them actually have the wire for the coil, and those are still intact, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'll do the reflow when I do the cap kit. Let's hook this back up so I don't forget. Alright. Oh, that was the 25. That's not what I want. That's what I want. Okay. Yeah. Well, okay. That takes care of our testing. Well, I take that back. Let's test all of our polycaps here, because they're all going to be good, because if the HOT is good, these will be good, because what will happen is if your HOT reads shorted, it could still be good, so it's important to remove it from circuit. If it tests good out of circuit, it's probably one of these polycaps. So we can go ahead and just test the polycaps. I believe they should all be 1 point something or other, if I recall, on the ohm setting. So it's this one and this one for 1, this one for 2, this one for 3. So if we go here and here, no, I'm wrong, 33K, but still, you're just checking to make sure they're not shorted. There's the closer to 1.5 I was thinking of. And this one here, yeah, 1.5. This is reading probably through something else on the circuit, but, oh no, 1.5, yeah. Oh, I knew I was right, yeah, 1.5, 1.5, and 1.5. Those are normal readings, just like on the Q700 C38, the width cap, that should read 1.5 as well. That's just with the ohm setting. Of course, you could check your capacitance with a capacitance tester, but these are the readings you should be getting on those caps. So, alright, so that takes care of the main chassis. I don't see anything that it jumps out at me as to why it wouldn't power up, assuming the flyback is good. I think all of the problem with this is probably these caps that are slightly bulging and the bad connection on the video selector, which is very, very, very common. So the next step here is to go ahead and get the neck board fixed up, which I will do here off camera. I'll do the repair on the neck board, get the pot set to the center, and get the reflow and the cap kit done on the main chassis, and then we'll get it all hooked up and see what it looks like. So stand by 1 moment. Well, here we are, all complete. Full cap kit, full reflow, and everything was checked and appears to be working. Everything's hooked back up, including my remote board to replace the missing one. All of our connections here, the neck board, everything is ready to go. But there is one thing I forgot to mention, was the original symptoms of this. The little white tag that was on here that I reviewed when I took all these and unboxed them out of the packaging they were in. The little white tag said that this came out of a Neo Geo, which explains why it was on 15 kilohertz for so long. It also had a crazy picture. It was squashed and had green lines. So we'll see. They did definitely at least have one bad cap. This cap here was is definitely bulging, because if I place it down, you can see that it wobbles. See how it wobbles around? Yeah, it's definitely, that one's definitely bulging. So the other ones that I thought were bulging were, but not very bad. Not enough to make them wobble, but you could see in person that from the angle looking at the top, it was very, very, very slightly bulged. But anyway, so this is all done. There's another thing I forgot to check was the Q703 transistor up here. If this Q703 is bad, the chassis will be dead. So I'm assuming it's good, but we'll check it anyway because I forgot to originally. So again, there's two of them real close to each other here, which is this one here and this one here. You want Q703 as the top one, which is going to correspond to these pins here. Let's zoom in. We'll see if we can't get this on frame here. So it's going to be, this is the smaller set and this is the taller set. So if we go center negative 0.6 and 1.2, that's good. Let's swap it around. 1.2 and 1.8. So yep, center negative. There's our diode inside the transistor. So yep, it's good. So with that being tested and the original discrepancy of what it was doing discussed, let's power it up and see what we get. You can see here I've got all of my original caps. I have them up in front of there. So there they all are. So we'll swipe them off into the trash can here. There they go. And again, let's take a look at the neck board. You can see that I've got the resistors evenly spaced like they should be. The heat sinks are now flat against the board. They really probably shouldn't be flat against the board for heat, because they're going to transfer the heat to the board that way. They want to be a little bit higher. But when they're like that, they get bent back and forth. That's how those traces get broken. So they're pushed down pretty far, but they are straight now, straight and level, all equidistant. Everything looks, this is how it should look all the time, nice and good. All of the color pots have been wiped back and forth and then placed back to the center position. All the caps on here have been changed, of course. And then the back side, instead of putting the jumpers on here, what I did was use the fiberglass pin to scrape away the solder mask and put solder trails on all the traces. So I think this is a much better way to do it, much cleaner and better way to do it. So you can see, this is what I did. So using the fiberglass pin, I just brushed away the trace, the solder mask on top of the trace, and created some solder trails there on the traces, and they are secure and solid. So I actually kind of prefer this method much better than putting the, capacitor legs and stuff on here in place of it. This just looks better, and I think actually will be better too, because it makes the connection more secure. So this turned out real nice. Everything else is reflowed, so everything's reflowed that needs it, like the header pins for the connector here and things like that. And also I always reflow the header pins for this connection. I reflow the header pins for this connection. I reflow the header pins for the power connector and anything else that needs it. And we saw the problem with this already, so I think we are good to go. Let's get it hooked up to a tube and we'll cross our fingers and see if it works, and if it does, how well. And if it doesn't work well, we'll diagnose from there. So stand by one moment. Well, we're ready to go. Let's count to 5. We got our anode hooked up. We got our neck board installed. We have our ground connected, which is right here. We have our yoke hooked up. Trust me, it's hooked up. And we have our video connector. And if you want to count to 6, we got power. So anode, neck, yoke, ground, video, we're all hooked up, ready to go. We've got our contrast and brightness set all the way down, and our flyback turned up just slightly, so we can adjust our proper settings that way. And I believe we're ready to go. Hopefully it fires up. I'm sure that it will. And then we'll see how the picture looks and make some adjustments from there. And then we'll test the 25 kilohertz side using the test pattern generator. Like I say, I always like to use, this is just here as a strain relief, I always like to use the regular PCB actual game board to test these monitors, because they give a more realistic image as far as brightness and contrast and stuff, and how it's going to look on an actual game compared to this. But this I have to use for, let's see here, medium resolution, which we'll hook up in a moment. But let's make sure it at least powers up and looks okay, and we'll see if we can get it to look fairly decent. So, oh, I do want to mention that On this particular type of flyback that has this little capacitor bleeder box thing, it has to be grounded. You see here that there's a, let's get it under the light here, you'll see that there is a terminal lug here that you can screw to the frame. It has to be grounded or you're going to arc voltage from this thing to your frame. So you want to have it grounded or you can cause issues, just like if your flyback had a crack in it. So you can see here it's grounded to the frame. I forgot to mention that. I'm glad I remembered. So you need to have that done while you're testing. So yeah, here we go. Let's get it on the tripod and let's see what kind of result we get. So fingers crossed. 1, 2, 3. Hey, it came on. I don't see any smoke, nothing exploded, so that's good. No image yet, but that's probably because our brightness and contrast is down. So let's turn up our flyback here. Here we go. Okay, let's turn up our flyback. Oop, too much. Let's go down to about there. All right. You can see the image there somewhat. So now we'll do brightness and contrast. Right there it's bleeding, so we'll turn it down to roughly there. And we don't want any white in the background, which will be about there. It needs some color adjustment. It's a bit too blue. Let's go ahead and shift our position over. Let's do our width. That's good. Our vertical position seems okay. Height, we'll go about right there. Yeah, there you go. It's a bit too blue. I'm not really worried about color adjustment because, like I say, it's not going to stay on this tube. But that's not bad. Focus seems pretty good actually. Don't need to really adjust that. But just out of curiosity, let me turn the blue a bit here. That's better. Yeah, that's not too bad right there. Still needs a bit more tweaking. But I think that's not bad. It definitely doesn't have, what was it? It was a crazy picture, squished and green lines. So that all appears to be fixed. Man, the colors are not good on this. I don't want to spend half an hour trying to do this because there's no reason to. But it is working, so it's too red. My stupid connector here keeps losing blue. There we go. Yeah, that's not bad. Well, it's fixed. All right. I didn't get to see what it was doing before because there was no reason to power it up, but as you can see now it's working. So let's shut it down here. And we'll flip our connector over to the 25 setting. And of course we want to remember to disconnect the connector on the side for the vertical sweep mod when you're doing 25 kilohertz. So we'll disconnect that little jumper connector and we'll hook up our test pattern generator. It's already set for medium resolution as you saw. I'll turn it on and the test pattern generator runs at a much higher output for video, so it's going to be a bit brighter, so we'll have to adjust our contrast and brightness a bit down. But let's go ahead and make sure it still works at least here. Okay, not making any weird noises. Yeah, see how different. Now it looks like this because our image is shifted so far off the screen. Once I bring the image back on screen, it'll fix itself here. You'll see. This is common. So if we do H position, there, see? Bring our contrast back down. Brightness needs to be right there. Width, H position. Vertical size. And there you go. Oh, come on, I lost my sync wire. Get back in there. Ugh. I got more problems with these connectors because I keep connecting them and disconnecting them and connecting them and disconnecting them. Stay in there, okay. You rotten bastard there. Yeah, looks good. And there you have it. U5000 successful repair. So we are 4 out of 4 on these 7 chassis. One of them I mentioned before I will not be able to test because I don't have a tube that's compatible with that neck. But I should be able to test the remaining 2 of the remaining 3. So I should hopefully have 6 out of 7 successfully repaired by the time this series is over. But there you have it. U5000 successfully repaired. Runs on both 15 and 25 kilohertz, and this stupid connector is losing blue. Gosh dang it. Yeah, sorry, my test equipment's faulty. But it's good, the chassis is good, the tube's good, so thanks for watching. Disregard this journeyman crap here where amateur hour is happening right now, so disregard that. But yeah, it's good, so thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something, and we'll see you on the next part.